It doesn't look like it's going live. Jeff, does it look like it's live at your end?
It sure does.
Yes. I can't see it. Okay. Oh, yes. Alrighty. Okay, so I think we are live. Yes, we are live. A few technical issues. Good morning, everybody. How are we? I cannot see this live on my phone, but hopefully we are live. Jeff.
Hi.
Hello. You can put your video on now. There we go. Welcome. I can't see us live on my phone. This is why I'm getting confused. Can you see us live on my phone? On your phone? Maybe I'm going live on my wall.
Let me.
No. Anyway, so I won't be able to follow the comments. We're going live on Facebook somewhere anyway. Maybe we're going on my profile, on my page. If anyone can see us live, if anyone is following us live somewhere, can you please send me a message on Facebook to let me know where you are finding us, because I can't find us in the group. Anyway, we are recording.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it on your
You're not seeing
group.
anything, are you? No. Okay, so I'm going to stop this.
Okay.
What is going on? Okay, let's try this again. We are recording, so okay, we'll go live on Facebook. Hello, Facebook. Let's try this again. Technology. It's great when it works.
Yeah, before it gave me a notification that you were live, and then it bumped off, and then who knows. It doesn't look like it's live on my end. It says it's recording.
Yeah, okay.
Not live.
Well, I won't put the links into here just yet. I'll pop them into the comments later. Share to my group. So, here we go. Go live. Let's go live again. Let's see if this works. Third time lucky. People will find us. It's okay.
Right, it says we're live.
Saying we're live. Okay, yes, there we are. Now I can close that down. Okay. Okay, I have closed all of that down. Beautiful. Okay. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Jump on, give us a like and a love if you see the video here. That helps other people find us and see the notification. So it's a couple of technical glitches this morning getting on here, but we're here now. And I want to introduce to you all Mr. Jeff Tritten. Jeff has a very inspirational story that he's going to share with us today. I've probably given you a little bit of I guess an intro with the post I put up yesterday, but Jeff's been a long-time restaurateur and a very well-known barbecue chef for many years, and experienced some challenges during that time, which he's going to talk to us about, but he's really turned all of that around now and is leading a completely different life. So, Jeff, I'm going to throw it over to you to tell us a bit about you, and start with your story.
Right. Well, I think I'll share a PowerPoint here. And you can see that, yes?
Yes, I can see that.
All right. So when I talk about my transformation, I like to talk a little bit about what caused me to get to 348 pounds, and kind of how that happened. The picture that you're looking at on the screen is a recent picture of me. I am almost 52 and have perfect blood work. Am in very good condition, besides having some creaky knees and that type of thing, but very healthy, especially compared to where I was a while ago. So just kind of giving you an idea of my little journey. In 2010, I was you could say I was doing okay. I was right at my 40th birthday in the picture on the left. And that the year later, I took over a barbecue restaurant. And over the course of 6 years, I gained, I don't know, 20 to 25 pounds a year. I discovered smoked meats, and I discovered Michigan microbrews, which they call a pork chop in a bottle. So very calorie dense. And I just gained weight, and this is what my health looked like in 2016. So basically,
so we can only see that first slide. I can only see that first slide at the moment, just so you know.
Okay, sometimes. All right, is something else showing up?
That's it.
Is it? Okay, so sometimes, yeah, I know on Zoom it goes. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why. See, now we're having technical difficulties, certainly. Again. So as I was saying, in the picture on the left is me at 40, and then 6 years later, 348 pounds. And this really was what my health looked like at that time. I had sleep apnea, and I required a CPAP machine. I had very severe edema. The picture of my foot on the left, you can just see how very swollen it was, and just I had little injuries that didn't heal and things like that. And I was pre-diabetic, so my fasting blood glucose was pretty high. My cholesterol was high. My blood pressure was high. They said I had elevated kidney and liver enzymes, and I was always experiencing severe joint pain. So they had me on 3 medications. One was a muscle relaxer, and one was an anti-inflammatory, and one was a pain medication. And I was taking 21 200 milligram ibuprofens every single day. So that means I put 7 of those pills in my hand and popped them in my mouth 3 times a day.
With those medications, do you think, like the combination of all those medications, do you think they were like creating other issues in your health as well?
Certainly, yeah. Which I'll get to in just a minute on one of the issues, but all of those medications alter your gut microbiome, and really having gut dysbiosis is one way that will lead to obesity. So certainly they did. But the other thing is one of them, the meloxicam, was giving me really bad gastrointestinal pain.
Oh, okay.
So over the course of a couple of years, I went to over a dozen different doctors. I went to Michigan Medicine and St. Joe's Mercy, which are very prestigious medical communities in the Michigan area. I'm in Michigan, in the Midwest of the United States, and saw really a bunch of doctors, and they knew what I ate. Listen, I'm in a small-ish community, so at every opportunity, you promote your small business, right? I had a barbecue restaurant. So I told them, I said, yeah, we have a barbecue restaurant in this little town in Saline, and you should come check it out. We do catering if you need, employee parties, and you want good food at your medical center and that type of thing. And, over the course of that time, not a single one of those doctors put the two together that maybe it was your diet, right, that was causing these issues. I did have one doctor suggest a gastric bypass surgery, and that was after kind of a little bit of a scare with an EKG, and they said that, oh, we're not real sure if we like what's going on with this, and so they sent me to a major medical center that had all the fancy equipment, and they said, no, you're okay, but you probably need a bypass, gastric bypass.
Yeah. Wow.
So lose some weight, you're too fat, in other words. But in all that time, so the gastrointestinal pain caused me to go to one of the hospital systems and check myself in. And they just really weren't giving me any good advice, right? They couldn't figure out what was wrong. They wanted me on some more prescriptions. And I hadn't seen the doctor. I'd just seen the nursing staff. And at the end, when they were checking me out, I said, listen, I'm probably going to be back in here. I want to see the doctor. Tell me what's going on. And I said, listen, doc, you haven't addressed the edema. You haven't addressed the serious gastrointestinal pain that I'm experiencing. What? I'm not sure what to do here. And here was his advice. He said, you need to stop living like a 35-year-old man, excuse me, and start living like a 45-year-old man. And he handed me 8 more prescriptions. So
what did he mean by that?
I am, to this day, I have no idea. Someday I'll go back to him and go, look at me now. I took your advice, I guess.
I'm looking like a 25-year-old now.
So I wasn't really sure what to do. So I called my mom, right? Moms are a good place for good advice. And, I told her what was going on, and she said, you need to listen to me on this. And here was her advice. She said, don't fill the prescriptions. And I looked at her and I said, what? She said, food is medicine. Do the damn research. So that was my, at the time, 68-year-old mother. 68-year-old, very healthy mother.
Yeah, they grew up in a different lifetime, didn't they? They grew up, our parents grew up in a life when it was just about fruits and vegetables and maybe a little bit of meat and dairy, right?
Yeah, so I did the research, and what I found is an anti-inflammatory diet. Mm-hmm. And so what I did was pretty simple. I just cut out beef, chicken, and pork. I cut my dairy consumption down, right? I was a cheese addict and ice cream addict. I stopped eating ice cream and maybe had cheese a couple times a week. I had lots of fruits and vegetables and whole grains in my diet. I included 3 teaspoons of turmeric every day, just the powder, mm-hmm. Which we can talk about in a little while. Turmeric's super anti-inflammatory. And then I just practiced mindful eating. I just slowed down and I was trying really hard to just listen to my body. What do you need, and what's next? And I, you'd think that I would have killed myself at the gym, but I didn't. But the results were amazing. When I say I did some moderate exercise, I walked maybe 20 minutes a day.
Oh, wow.
And here's what happened, right? That edema that I had for almost 2 years was gone in 3.5 weeks.
Wow.
I lost 80 pounds in 100 days. I didn't need the CPAP machine anymore, and I started sleeping better, and my blood pressure went back to normal, right? Wow. My blood sugar, I found out later, did stabilize and whatnot, but I didn't have a blood result. But seriously, 100 days, 3 months time,
That's
right?
incredible. Yeah, that's incredible. And I guess that's what happens when you put your mind to actually making change in your life and sticking to it, right? Yeah. Well done.
And there's another reason why I think that that happens too, which I'll get to in a minute. But one other thing that happened about 5 months into my journey, I watched Forks Over Knives, and I ditched dairy products. You know, I looked at how inflammatory it was and how like really not good for human health that is. I mean, they say that over 70% of African Americans, this is here in the US, are lactose intolerant, 90% of Asians, and some 30 to 40% of the Hispanic population. And so here we are eating all of this dairy that, you know, maybe we sort of grown accustomed to, but most people can't even digest it. They're very lactose intolerant. And what happened was 3 weeks after, I used to have this gripping anxiety, right? Like always feeling like I gotta go. You know, I don't know if you've experienced anxiety, you know what I'm talking about, right? I just have this gripping gripping feeling inside of me all of the time. And that anxiety disappeared. And my more recent research says that there's something called a casomorphin in dairy that hits the same receptor in the brain as heroin. And so it's very addictive and gives you very, very up and down mood swings and things like that. So if you have any mood disorders, gosh, eliminate dairy. I think you might be surprised, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's another drug.
And I think what I realized from after watching Forks Over Knives and having that like really miraculously happen is that knowledge is power, and that, you know, you need to find good resources and educate yourself. And so here I am in mid 2017, right? I had already lost 125 pounds. And this is the thing that I was going to say earlier is that when you go for it and you go all in and you experience tremendous success, you're more apt to keep going. So I always encourage people, you know, if you're going to do it, just do it, right? Don't pussyfoot around. Give it a try. Give it 3 months. Give it 6 months. See what happens, right? And if you experience some of these same things that I did, I think you're just more apt to stick to it and you know, surround yourself with healthy, like-minded folks instead of the toxic environment we find ourselves in, a toxic food environment.
Very much so. It's like the faster you go, the quicker you get there. That's what I usually say to people. I give my clients a choice of whether they want to transition fast or whether they want to do it slowly. And there's pros and cons to both. But, you know, when you jump all in, you're more likely to see the results quicker, which makes you more motivated to keep going, which is one of the benefits of going fast. So, yeah, for anybody who's out there in the stuck in the trying zone, I call it, take this advice and just jump all in, see what you can do and see how quickly you can get results. So,
that was mid 2017, right? So here we are about 8 months in, and then not even a year later, this is what the results were. 20 months. My blood work went to perfect. My cholesterol is now very low. Wow. It's lower than 149 currently, but that was total cholesterol. Yeah. My blood pressure is consistently like 108/65. And, you know, I started building muscle too, right? 6 months in the gym. And one of the really interesting things I found now in my younger days, right, my 20s and early 30s, I did work out fairly frequently. But what I found is that, you know, I had such bad lactic acid burn, and I'd be really sore sometimes the next day, and the recovery time was slow. And going to plant-based and not worrying about protein, and of course not being protein deficient, of course, I couldn't believe the muscle I was gaining, and and I wasn't sore anymore, and I could do these massive workouts and get all pumped like you see in the picture. That's the gym locker room. To that, where you're just not feeling that it's the lactic acid burden and just the lack of endurance, I think, that you have. But when you feed your body the right fuels, it's amazing how much further you can go. And endurance athletes will tell you that all the time, right? That they carb load before big events and things like that. And what I found is that I could work out for a couple hours, and I might be a little shaky, and I could literally eat an orange and replenish my glycogen stores and go right back to it.
Yeah, beautiful.
So in 20 months, I lost 168 pounds. And currently I'm sitting on my butt too much, but I'm working on my master's in public health because I really want to help change the system. And so, you can see that there's a big difference between 2017, 16 roughly, and today. So that is
very, very inspirational. I know there's probably a lot of people out there who would like to show this to friends and family and, help motivate other people in their lives. I certainly have there's one person in my life I can think of who I would like to show your video and your story to. For anybody out there who, who might be sitting on the fence, who's not even sure, who is sitting in confusion, what sort of advice would you give them towards taking that step and just taking the plunge?
So, I think that one of the really important things in any type of behavior change is you got to ask yourself the tough questions, right? You got to say, all right, I'm aging, and I watched, and this was my sort of aha moment. I watched my grandfather, who died at the age of 92, spend the last 15 months of his life in and out of the hospital and really struggling for his health and severe type 2 diabetes and losing his eyesight and things like that. And I said, I don't want that for my life. I'm only halfway through, and I would like to grow old gracefully. So I think we have to ask ourselves some tough questions. What do you really want for your life? And how do you get there? So asking the right questions sometimes can trigger that change in people, I think. And the other thing that I encourage everybody to do is to take a piece of paper and journal your success and start tracking. This is how much I'm eating. This is how much I'm exercising. This is how many steps I took today, right? Whether it's on a Fitbit or a tracking app or using Chronometer to track how many calories you're eating, but write it all down and keep track of the little successes. And I think the little successes really help people stay motivated. And you can look back and go, oh, wow, yeah, holy crap, I lost that amount of weight in 30 days. And so it just really solidifies it here. And I think it's good to talk about it too, and to when you have conversations with people, you can't force somebody to want to change, right? But generally people want better for their lives, but they have to do it on their own. And sometimes just talking about that and saying, this is what I want, solidifies that commitment for people. So, I think it's always ask the right questions, say it out loud, and track it. It's a really good way to do it.
Did you come up against any resistance from people in your world when you were making these changes for yourself? I know this is another thing that often holds people back, all the conflicting information from friends and family, or people just not wanting them to change what they're eating because then it forces them to look at what they're eating, and it causes a bit of conflict. But did you find that in your journey?
Yes, very much so. You're going to get resistance from your family. They're going to think you're nuts. But let's just talk about the one person that really just chided me for my decision of going plant-based, and that's my brother.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
and, you know, he called himself a meatitarian. And I'll tell you that my brother passed away 2 years ago from a widowmaker heart attack. And I tried when he had his first series of small heart attacks. I did get him to switch plant-based for a little while, but he went right back and ended up just having a massive heart attack and dying almost instantly. So,
Oh, that's sad, isn't it?
you know, so yeah, that was the most resistance. But you know, you do you, right? I'm really thankful because that could have been me.
Yeah.
And so, but I was very fortunate to have some support, and I think social support is important.
Yeah.
One of the groups that I found here, and you can find your support anywhere, find your community, but in Michigan, we were fortunate to have the plant-based nutrition support group, which is pbnst.org. That organization, I met what I consider lifelong friends in there. You know, people that I'm very close to today, and we work on different projects and things together. So we had a really good group, and I mean, the group was really very amazing. They brought in all of the well-known plant-based speakers, Dr. T. Colin Campbell and Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn and Dr. Michael Greger, and you know, you name it, they all came. So I got to hear those guys speak and those ladies speak and meet them and take pictures with them, and you know, and admit that I'm a fan.
I'm
Right?
jealous. I'm jealous.
I do have a picture with Dr. Greger on my Facebook, right?
Oh.
My favorite though is Dr. Michael Clapper. I just, you know, I got to have dinner with him, and just a very sweet, genuine man. And you know, he was one of the first ones that really sort of spoke to me, right? In his interview in Forks Over Knives, where he says, you know, that's baby cow growth fluid. Now he's got these big, huge hands, and he's you know, the picture of me next to him, you know, he's way up there. Very tall man.
Okay.
But yeah, he says that's milk is baby cow growth fluid, and it's meant to blow up an infant calf to a 600-pound bovine in no time.
I love the way he just tells the truth, tells it like it is, just so plainly. It's like you can't not listen to him.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I really like him. He is for sure my favorite. So,
Yeah. Did you?
So that.
Oh, sorry. Carry on.
Yeah, so that one of the cool things about the plant-based nutrition support group is locally in Michigan, they had, this is pre-pandemic now, almost 50 small groups that met in various communities. So they just gave the host some support and said, you know, we encourage you to do plant-based potlucks in your community. So I actually did that at a local community center, and so you get your plant curious, and you get your plant based, and you get your hardcore vegans at the group. But you know, I met a lot of really cool people through doing that, and just putting an ad out locally. Hey, we're doing a plant based potluck. You know, come and join us. So you know, those type of things, and just building that community, I think is really good, and getting that social support, because you know, you might not get it at home. But here's the other thing that happens too, is when you have some pretty serious changes, you'd hope that the people around you would go, hey, wow, what are you doing? And that would be an example. So I did try really hard to set a good example, right?
And did you find anyone else around you in your circle shift what they were doing because they saw your results?
Yes, yeah, several people. My mom actually eats, so I got her to get off the dairy for one, and she eats about 99% whole food plant-based now. So
wonderful.
You know, she would do some sausage now and again and some things like that, and I'm like, you know, that causes colorectal cancer, right? So, she's and today she's 72 and does yoga every day and walks and bikes with me. We go biking a couple times a week, so it's fun.
Oh, amazing. That's good. Yeah, it's a pity your brother took the direction that he did, I guess.
Yeah, he was stubborn for sure. Very, very stubborn man.
Yeah.
Very difficult for him to change anything, but I guess he lived his life on his own terms, right?
That's true. Yeah. And you came from the barbecue world essentially, where it's manly to eat meat. Talk to us about, I guess, the mindset shift that you had to, or the identity shift, I guess, that you really had to make when changing your life, changing your going through that transition, and what happened for you during that period?
Well, I can't say it was easy, right? I wish I could just tell everybody that yeah, no problem, because that was my identity. So I had a business partner that was part of that, and when I got really sick and was in the hospital, they were pretty ticked off at me and whatever. And I continued to do taxes and paperwork and whatever, and tried to get them to make some healthy changes as well. And came with pretty dramatic resistance. And then I just said, well, listen, I need to get out of this. We came to an agreement, and they took it over, and it was fine. Interestingly, it burned down 4 months later.
Oh,
so call karma.
You didn't set it alight there. No.
And that was roughly about 4.5 months, something like that, after I left completely. And then there were a few months before that where I was, kind of transitioning away from it, and still involved, but whatever. So the thing that was the strangest to me personally is that here I have a local restaurant downtown. Everybody knew who I was. I was a big barbecue guy, right? And I felt really disconnected from my community because that was a big part of my identity. But what I did to really sort of combat that and change that is I started doing whole food, plant-based, oil-free cooking demonstrations at our local farmers market. So I still got to interact downtown with all the people I knew, because it's like the whole community shows up to that farmers market, I swear. So that was one of the things that I just did differently to stay connected to the community. And I started, doing some talks at our local senior center, and then over the pandemic, I did virtual cooking classes for them as well.
Oh, wow.
It's been just, I stay connected to my community as much as I can, because I think it's important. I really do. And there are quite a few people that have said, I just want you to know that I eat a whole lot healthier because of you.
I was going to say, did your transition in the community have impacts with the community? Like, did you find some of the barbecue people follow you over to whole food plant-based?
Yes. And a number of people have said, hey, I've got type 2 diabetes. What do I do? Or that type of thing. So yeah, certainly I've had people ask questions and participate in the cooking classes, and I'm always available for questions, and I get a lot of them. So it's pretty cool. I mean, I feel like I've had a decent impact, and I enjoy it, and I enjoy staying connected to the community. So
it's amazing. Yeah, you sort of set yourself up as a leader in that space, haven't you? Right. Wonderful. What would you say to any other men out there? I know a few of the ladies in this group are wanting to show this to their husband, and who I guess are still of the mindset that it's manly to eat meat. What would you say to any of those guys out there who might be feeling a little bit of resistance to making change because of that identity that they're holding on to?
So I'd like to give you a quote from James Cameron. He is the creator of Titanic and Avatar and Game Changers. is he says that I would love to put Pfizer out of business, put Viagra out of business by introducing people to plant-based diets. And the fact of the matter is men have, as they age, they get a little erectile dysfunction, and they think that that's part of aging. It's not. It doesn't have to be. It's your diet. And that they call the canary in the coal mine. That is a warning sign, a very early warning sign of atherosclerosis and heart disease. So warning, impending heart attack. If you want a healthier prostate, eat more tomatoes. If you want a healthier sex life, ditch the fat and eat more plants, because I tell you guys, it makes a big difference. So, that's what I like to say to those macho guys that think that they got to have meat. And the other thing is you don't have to have meat to have protein. And that I have to say, for me personally, was a really difficult challenge to overcome. For years in my mostly 30s, if I felt like I was gaining a few extra pounds, I ditched the carbs and go high protein, and thought that that was the answer. And I thought that I had to have protein. And turns out we've all been lied to, sadly. I mean, we really have. When it comes to protein, people don't understand. I mean, yes, do some foods have more of certain amino acids? Yes, that's true. But every single plant has every single amino acid. Your body doesn't care where it gets those from. Your body breaks all of that down and makes its own protein. Yeah. You don't get protein by eating protein. Yeah. You make protein by eating the right essential amino acids. And if you eat a diverse plant-based diet, you never have to be concerned about protein. And the bullshit about older adults need more protein and that type of thing, that is totally wrong. You've got to move your body or you'll have muscle atrophy. You can't eat hair to grow hair. You can't eat nails to grow nails. You can eat fat and get fat, but you can't eat protein to build muscles. You can't eat muscle mass to build muscles. It just doesn't work that way. You want to build muscle and you want to stay in shape and not lose muscle mass as you age, you got to work it. You got to move it.
Exactly. It's like use it or lose it when it comes to our physical body, bones as well as muscles. And I like that too. You know, we don't build muscle by eating muscle. We just like we don't get smarter by eating brains or repair the liver by eating liver. No. Awesome. So I did have another question for you, just around, I guess, the anxiety that you were experiencing as well, because I know a lot of people have a lot of anxiety these days, and the anxiety is almost like the voices in their head that beat them up and stop them taking action. Did you have the voices that were beating you up? Is that sort of the type of anxiety you were having?
No, I would say that's not the type of anxiety I was experiencing when I talk about that. It just really is just an anxiousness, just the feeling that it's hard to explain unless you suffer from anxiety, and like panic attacks are kind of on the verge of that sort of panicky feeling. So that's what I was talking about. But that when you're talking about those messages that play in our head that we can't do that, or we're not good enough, or, oh, it's going to be so hard. I mean, that there is some good cognitive restructuring techniques to get out of, I call it stinking thinking, right?
Yeah.
Where and it doesn't matter what it is. It could be, you feel bad about past relationship or whatever it is, some things that bring you back to a place where you're not good. And I was a pretty damn heavy drinker too, and that was a difficult one to get over. But here's what really changed in me, and I think it's a super valuable tool for people to have, and that is that I embraced gratefulness. And what I mean by that is being really truly grateful for everything every day the grass that grows in the yard, and the trees, and the whatever weather it is, and being very thankful of everything that I have, and the amazing people that are in my life. But just coming to a place of gratefulness. And I think one of the things that helps you, I think what being grateful helps the most at is getting over that sort of, I call it toxic entitlement, right? Where, oh, I deserve that pizza, or I deserve that hamburger, or I didn't work this hard to get to where I am to not eat a steak, or to give up my booze or whatever. And that toxic entitlement can drag a person to hell, right? And I just think that by embracing a really true spirit of gratefulness and mindfulness, you can overcome a lot of that, and you can overcome a lot of those things that we beat ourselves up for all the time.
Yeah, that's it's a really important point to talk about, because those voices stop a lot of people taking action and making change, and keeping them in the same patterns of behavior. I love that term, toxic entitlement. I'm going to borrow that because a lot of people do.
I don't know where I if I heard that or if I came up with it. It was a couple of years ago, and I felt like that was sort of me, right? Just feeling like, me, her. I'm entitled. I'm a man, right? I can do this. Well, giving that up and giving that mentality up, I think really helps a person to sort of experience a little bit more calm in their life, and that feeling of gratefulness is really an amazing feeling.
Yeah, it's powerful, isn't it? Yeah, focusing on what you have versus what you don't have and what you think you're entitled to. Alrighty, so talk to us about what it is that you're doing now with regards to all the work you're doing in, I guess, in the community, and where people can find you.
So I do have a blog, and I'm pretty present on social media. So that blog is at arespectfullife.com. So that's a good place to get in touch with me or to follow social media. All of the links are there. Depending on the platform I'm on, like Twitter, I'm really big about the nutrition science piece, and I do a lot of that on my Facebook as well. I love to see testimonials for people, and to post those. I'm always posting inspirational stories. I think it's important to remind people that, hey, you can do this too. And you're never too old. It's never too late. There are lots of people in lots of different situations that have made dramatic changes. And so I do a lot in terms of the testimonials. On Instagram, I post food pics, right? Let people know that it's really not difficult eating plant-based, and I post what I eat every day. And now I'm not perfect whole food plant-based. I don't eat any animal products, but I like my pizza, even though it's much better than the traditional alternative, and I eat an occasional Beyond Burger, but generally speaking, it's very, very healthy. I eat a lot of salads. I do a lot of soups and stews.
Yeah.
So that's
something to emphasize to people too, is that you don't need to be perfect, right?
No.
Allowing some of these, more recreational foods here and there is okay, but it's when that becomes the majority that you start to have a problem. Fill your life with, the whole fruits and vegetables to start with, and then allow yourself that little bit of wriggle room so you don't feel like you're failing. Is really important.
Or you don't feel like you're deprived, right?
Yeah.
No, when I do pizza, I always do it without cheese, right? And never any meat on it. But I don't use the plant-based cheese either. It's just the vegetables and the sauce, and sometimes I'll order it, but I do make a whole wheat crust at home as well. So it can be really healthy.
Yep.
There are plenty of options, but yeah, I don't feel deprived ever.
Yeah.
And when I think about, like, I have so many cookbooks, and I've created so many recipes, and my family and friends have created so many recipes that, you know, people say, oh, there's not enough variety in plant-based, and I'm like, excuse me, but I don't eat the same thing twice in probably a month, right? Unless I'm eating leftovers.
Yeah.
But it's always different, you know, there's always something new. And I've got so many recipes that I forget that I even made that, you know, 2 years ago or whatever. It'll come up in my memories on my phone and I'll go, oh yeah, that was good. I should make that again.
Have you got
But
a
it's not.
recipe book or anything like that? Oh, here, hang on, that's on your website. Blog, recipes, and cooking classes on your website. Guys, I'll pop all of the social links. Yes, I see, Joanne, I see your question. I'll post all of the social links into the comments when we're finished up here.
Yeah, there's a lot of recipes on the website. Some funky things, like I have a taco walnut cauliflower meat thing. That's not meat, right? It's made out of cauliflower and walnuts. It's very good, that people really like. I have a 3-bean cherry chili, which is different. It comes from my barbecue days. I use a little smoked paprika and Michigan cherries here. But it's got it's surprising, you know, people go, you put fruit in your chili? And I'm like, you know, tomatoes are fruit, right? Yeah, so it's different. It has coffee in it as well.
Wow.
It just has this nice robust balance. So it's great. And I do you know, there's some less traditional things on there. There's a Peruvian quinoa stew, and I have a, you know, how to do barbecue jackfruit, and just some different things like that. So, and there's a good variety. There's Mexican, there's some barbecue. I've got my signature barbecue sauce on there. It's a pain in the ass to make though, so I don't do that very often. A lot of ingredients.
I can't wait to enter your recipes and have a look now. I haven't done that yet, so yeah, my mouth's watering already with ideas.
Well, so one of the fun things that that I saw somebody like do this, I think the video was a little viral, but the corn riblets. So you take the corn and you slice it the long way into like quarters. Yeah. And then you coat them with spices and sauce and bake them off, and they're really good. Which is kind of a little, you know, barbecue sort of thing that people do. I do a lot of skewers on the barbecue still, right? Yep. You can smoke anything if you want to, but I don't know that that's incredibly good for us. So I don't do any smoking these days.
Yeah, something to do with the temperatures, isn't it, or the fumes with the smoking?
You know, I guess it depends on, like, true, like, cold smoking is what we did. So it had a offset fire, and it was really the smoke that was getting into the meat. But the funny thing about the meat is that if you've spent any time working around pork butt on its own, it is friggin' disgusting. And the only reason people like it is because of all the spices and because of the added smoke and things like that. You know, it's all about the spice rubs and the sauces, and people love the sauces. And so I do have a couple of those. There's a fun Louisiana hot sauce on there that's roasted red pepper, chipotle peppers, and roasted garlic. That's quite good. So yeah, there's some fun barbecue recipes on there, but a little bit of everything.
Beautiful. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait. I'm going to dive straight into that and have a look when we're finished up here, because it'll soon be lunchtime and I am starving. Excellent. So I'm just seeing if there's any questions from anyone. Anyone, if you've got any questions, pop them in quickly before we finish up. Was there anything else you wanted to add, Jeff?
So yeah, there was one other thing that you were asking about, what else I was doing. So yes, I'm stay involved in the community, and I do virtual cooking classes, and I've got the blog, but I also am working on bringing a bona fide Blue Zones project to my county.
Oh, amazing.
So not familiar with that. Blue zones are areas of the world that have the longest lived populations. And they found 5 little pockets where people live longer and tried to figure out what it was that caused them to live longer. And turns out it's not genetics. They eat primarily plant-based. They do things like move naturally. They're very connected to their communities and their family. They have de-stressors in their life, which is very important, whether it's prayer or yoga or taking a nap or reading. I mean, you have to have something in your life at the end of a hard work day to just let the stress off, right? And not let that stress bother you, because that stress will kill you. So I'm bringing a Blue Zones project to the area, and I'm working on getting my master's degree in public health.
Oh, amazing. So when you've got that master's, what's that going to then enable you to do? What are your plans to do with it?
Well, you do have to have the education behind you, at least in this country, to have some clout in the policy arena.
Gotcha.
And for me personally, there are some things about our food system that absolutely have to change. We have to change because of water resources. We have to change because of climate. We have to change because of people's health. We have to change to stop some of the disparities in the world. If people knew about, I mean, there are 3.5 million children under the age of 5 die of starvation every year, malnutrition every year. And almost 1 billion humans are starving on the planet, yet we find some way to feed 72 billion human bred farm animals. Human bred, we create those, we feed them, we fatten the calves to fatten their asses and don't feed the hungry. I want to change that. That's a problem. So that's really my passion. There's some other things that I think we can do. Here's a health tip that I'm working on a lot of research on right now, and that is one of the important things you can do to change your health is to change your water resources. And people don't realize this. Now, back in 1906, right? 114 years ago, there was a big incidence of typhoid fever in the US. And they realized that people were getting it from the water. And it was actually runoff initially in one of the areas from a slaughterhouse. And so in order to get the disease out of the water, they started chlorinating it. And chlorination is now in 64% of the drinking water sources in the US. Now that's to keep the harmful microbes down, right? So we're not getting sick from the water. But one of the things that I'll tell you is that chlorine, just like antibiotics, is not selective. It doesn't select for certain bacteria. If it kills one of them, it kills all of them. So if you're drinking chlorinated water, that's also killing your gut microbiome too. And we have done almost no research on this. I don't know how it is in Australia with water chlorination, but we have done almost no research on the effects on humans. We've done it in mice studies, and we have an observational studies about microbial composition amongst healthy twins that show that water resources really does affect their gut microbiome. But we just haven't done the studies, and think about it. Alcohol too, that's another one. People think, oh, I'll just have my wine, I'll have my beer, I'll drink a little bit here and there. Well, we use alcohol to sanitize things for a reason, right? It kills microbes. It also kills the good gut microbes in you. So you're made up of the estimations are 3 trillion different microbes inside you. And if you're killing them with alcohol and chlorine and things and pesticides and antibiotics and things like that, I mean, you're really doing some harm to your health. Those little bugs coat our intestines, right? They make a biofilm to keep that barrier strong so we don't have pathogens leaking into our blood. And if you want to know why we have so much autoimmune disease, that's why. You've got a compromised gut microbiome, and you've got these pathogens that they get into our bloodstream, and then our system goes haywire trying to attack them, And if it looks similar to other things inside of us, it attacks that as well. So they call that molecular mimicry, and it's just very important to make sure that what you're putting in your mouth at all times isn't hurting you.
Yeah, it's got to be as clean as possible, doesn't it? Yeah, that's very interesting. I hadn't really thought about that with in terms of chlorine and water. Obviously, understanding the microbiome, I understand that very well. And from a food perspective, and alcohol and drugs and
right. But Karen, you're not the only one that hasn't considered the effects of chlorine. When I say there's no human studies, there aren't any.
Yeah.
And when I brought this up with a couple of gut microbiome experts and said, listen, what do you think about this? And at first they kind of blew me off. I'm like, wait a second, you don't think that this could potentially be a problem? And they start thinking about it. They're like, you know what? I've never thought about that. No one's ever brought it up. I've never seen any literature on it. So damn it, I'm going to change that.
Good. Yeah, I think there's a lot of changes that need to happen, not just in the US, but in this world, in the way things work. Human beings need a little bit of a shake-up, and we need to be, I guess, enlightened as to what's going on with our food production and our health, and really start to get conscious about it and make the changes in our own lives. Like, don't wait for something to happen to your health before you make changes. Don't wait for that big pain point. Know that it's coming unless you do something about it now. So,
I was probably one barbecue bacon burger away from a heart attack. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I think about my brother, I'm like, seriously, that could very well have been me.
Yeah.
Very well.
Yeah. Don't wait for that. Don't wait for that big, scary moment. Like, I had skin cancer as well. So don't wait for something like that to happen before you make the change. Just know that something will come if you don't take your health into your own hands and do something about it now. So.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jeff. That was a very powerful story, and you're doing some amazing things in the community now. So, and it was wonderful speaking to you. I don't think we've got any other questions apart from people asking for your recipes. So I will drop down the website and all the other social media links for everyone very shortly. But thank you once again.
Thanks for having me. That was fun. Nice to see you face to face for a change.
Yeah, I was going to say nice to meet you kind of in person, right? Yeah. Well, thank you very much, and we'll leave it there. So have a good day, everyone. All righty. That's us done, and I will stop the recording.